This is a brief tutorial on how to create a quote for Rex Materials TCS systems, a high-efficiency barrel heating system for the plastics industry. First, go to the website tcs-saves-energy.com and click on the tab entitled Additional Resources. Then, go to Agent Resources. This page is password protected, so you'll need to enter the password to gain access. Then, download and open the Excel spreadsheet entitled TCS Data Submission Form and Price List. When you open the spreadsheet, you'll need to enable macros. This function allows you to automatically select parts given the selected TCS length, diameter, and voltage. Open the spreadsheet and go to the data entry page. It will look like this. You'll notice this is identical to the input form we use for customers. This makes it easy for you to take in customer input and generate a quote. So we can create a design, generate a quote, and calculate the return on investment. The form consists of an area to sketch the current system, a list of the required information, and a table to record that information. It also provides a reminder of the clearance required to fit TCS onto an application, 83 millimeters, as well as checkboxes to specify cooling needs, and another reminder that zones split by interference must be defined separately. We'll discuss that more shortly. The bottom portion of the form is for standard TCS. The lengths and the diameters of standard parts are provided in the margin. TCS replaces traditional band heaters to save energy and improve process consistency. Oftentimes, one TCS section will replace 2 or 3 traditional band heaters. So a primary intent of this form is to help us best determine the proper size of TCS for your machine. To design a system, we'll need to know the zone lengths, as well as the barrel diameter and the voltage supplied to the current heaters. To be sure TCS will perform well in your application, we also ask for the power level of all the heaters in the zones, the percent on time of each zone, and any amperage limitations associated with the heating circuit. Filling in the form can be fairly straightforward. Simply sketch the current configuration. We ask you to note the thermocouple locations so we can be sure that the thermocouples are generally centered on each zone with the new TCS section. Then identify any items which might cause interference, such as barrel supports, rigging bosses, or the nozzle shutoff valve. Some interference will cause us to split a zone, as is the case in this example on Zone 4, which we have now labeled Zone 4A and 4B. In other cases, the interference may not alter how we design the individual zone. Since this barrel support is between Zone 1 and Zone 2, it will not cause us to split the zones. However, we still need to know it's there to provide the best design for your machine. Any interference within 83 millimeters of the barrel should be noted. When there is interference, such as shown here on Zone 1, special TCS shapes are available. However, there may be some instances where TCS simply doesn't fit on a zone. In these cases, a combination of TCS and traditional band heaters may be best. This sometimes happens near the nozzle under the shroud. Next, you need to determine the zone lengths. Notice that both Zone 4A and 4B must be measured separately. This is because Zone 4A and 4B will each require a separate TCS section due to the barrel support. In this example, we're assuming Zone 1 is not a good fit for TCS, and we won't define the zone in the table below. From there, just populate the table below with the information we've discussed, things like percent on time, voltage, diameter. Notice that we have defined all the characteristics of Zone 4A and 4B as though they are standalone zones. If any form of cooling is desired, it must be noted. Please see the cooling tab of the website for more information on various cooling options, even if you're under the impression you don't need cooling. It's best to know what options exist before the design is created. Standard TCS sizes can be defined for a machine, either for actual use on the machine or just to generate a kit price. Price of standard parts plus support hardware such as straps and cable trays are the same as engineered parts, and using the standard TCS parts to determine pricing allows you to generate a quote and an ROI during the very first visit. This provides the customer with everything they need to make a decision after the first visit. This does a few things for you. First, it allows you to ask for a PO immediately, and if there are any questions or concerns, the customer can voice them immediately, so you have a chance to work through them. Second, it greatly speeds project progression. since you don't need to wait for information from the customer or a quote from RMG to secure a PO. Third, it greatly reduces the amount of follow-up work you need to do following the visit. To specify standard TCS sizes, you must determine the desired TCS length, diameter, and voltage. The available standard lengths and diameters are provided in the margin. Notice that the defined diameters also show diameter ranges. As an example, a 260 millimeter diameter barrel falls between 251 and 275, so it requires a 275 millimeter inside diameter TCS. The larger TCS inside diameter will be reduced to the diameter of the barrel using a gasket material if standardized parts are actually ordered. Next, the TCS length must be selected from the available sizes provided. When selecting the length, there are a number of things to be considered. First, ensure TCS actually fits into the zones and it's not too big. This is fairly intuitive, but much of the design process is really about physical fit of the parts. Then, try to provide the maximum barrel coverage possible. That is to say, select the longest lengths that still fit in place. Recall that when TCS sections are installed, they should be placed directly adjacent to one another, without any gap, to minimize heat loss. If the TCS lengths don't allow for that, insulative spacers are available to improve coverage. Sizes, part numbers, and prices are provided on the hardware price list. Then, generally try to center the thermocouples on the TCS section, as that is the controlling entity for the heater. Then, minimize the quantity of TCS sections. So for instance, it is better to use 300 millimeter TCS lengths than 150 millimeter TCS lengths. This improves system consistency and reduces cost. Also, try to minimize the quantity of sizes. This example shows 3 different TCS lengths in a single kit, but it's often best to try to have consistent parts throughout the kit. This reduces the need for additional spares. Next, populate the light blue cells with the requisite data: length, diameter, and voltage. Again, they're shown in the margin, but they are also available as pull-down menus in the blue cells. Using the lengths, diameter, and voltage, the part numbers, prices, power, and amp draw can be found on the TCS price sheet. That's on the agent resource pages. However, the spreadsheet is also set up with a button to automatically pull that data into the table. Clicking on this button will automatically pull up the part numbers, the power rating, the amp draw, and the price. Hardware, such as cable trays and straps, must be included in the quoted price to the customer, and the price sheets for the hardware can also be found on the agent resource page of the website. So the system cost will include TCS section halves, gaskets if needed, adjustable straps, and the cable tray. Recall that the gasket kit won't be necessary if you are not actually planning to order standard parts, but only using this process to create a quote. The Excel spreadsheet also contains a worksheet that can be used to generate a quote on the tab called Quote. The only cells that need to be populated are those in blue. The worksheet will auto-populate the TCS halves part number and the prices from the data entry page. You'll need to input the half required, and notice that this is TCS halves and not full sections. And the extended prices will then auto-populate. The hardware is also available as pull-down menus. Here you'll be able to select straps, cable trays, and the gasket kit if required. The total will auto-populate as well. The total can then be used to provide the customer with both a quote and an immediate ROI calculation. Generating a quote provides the customer with what they need to initiate a TCS project, including the quote, the ROI, the technical information, and the website, all of which should demonstrate sound financial justification to initiate a trial. By leaving the customer with everything they need to make a decision, there are no action items leaving the meeting, and follow-up to secure an order is quick and easy. Thank you for your time.